You have said that China is on track to have a military that might even be more powerful than the United States.
That's their objective.
And you say they are moving in that direction.
They're trying to move in that direction.
Is it possible that we will look back and think that we overestimated them in the way that I remember estimations of Soviet military power that in retrospect were wildly off?
Sure.
I remember the estimates of Saddam Hussein's military that in retrospect were wildly off.
Sure.
Are we, is it possible that because it's a bit of a black box and we don't know a lot, that we tend to think our enemies are taller than they are?
Absolutely. I mean, that's very possible. And the Chinese are not 10 feet tall. And notice I said that's their plan, that's their desire, that's their aspiration. And if we stay still, if the United States stays still and the United States military stays still and we don't modernize, then there's a reasonable chance the Chinese would succeed in doing that. But what you've seen, Fareed, is probably the largest shift in economic power in well over a century since the rise of the United States economically in the late 1800s. Perhaps even multiple centuries, the rise of the West or the fall of Rome or something like that. You've seen an enormous shift in global economic power to China, beginning with the reforms of Deng Xiaoping in 79. I'm commissioned in 1980, so 45 years ago, the economics of the world began to shift. So today you've got the manufacturing capital of the world, without exception is China. And in the wake of that shift in economic power, the Chinese took that money and have invested in making a world-class military. That's what they're trying to do. They want a military that's very capable in space, in cyber, and then the traditional domains of land, sea, and air. They've developed, fourth and fifth generation fighter bombers, really copying our designs. They're trying to develop a blue water navy, a subsurface navy. They've reformed their ground forces from an infantry peasant-based army of the 1970s to a modern army with multiple commands, et cetera. So they're on the path to do that. And their goal is to exceed the United States military capability in East Asia, really by the end of this decade, certainly by the middle of next decade. And they want the United States to exit East Asia militarily and diplomatically. They want us to cease being the arbiter of outcomes in Asia. And they want to be the global challenger of the United States by mid-century. They want to meet or exceed U.S. military capabilities by mid-century. But we're not going to stand still. The United States is going to continue to modernize, continue to invest. And I know it sounds a bit like a bumper sticker, but there is value in the phrase peace through strength. So the objective here is deterrence. You don't want a great power war. We had a great power war in World War I. We had a great power war in World War II. We haven't had one in 80 years. And we need to make sure that we avoid a great power war. And China, can be evaluated a lot of different ways, but great power is certainly what they are. Economically, militarily, they're capable. And we should try our very best to avoid open armed conflict with China.